Evening again, folks. It's John from Frank the Alpacas. We were speaking with a couple of people earlier after our video about little Quiff, and we thought it'd be useful to share some of the realities of farming alpacas. So it's 9:20 in the evening. It's very cold and foggy and unpleasant evening out here, as you can see. And we've just put the old welly boots on again, and the wax jackets, and as much as we can get on to keep warm. I've got my torch here, and we're going up to do one more check on little Quiff before we go to bed, because Natalie checked him about 2 hours ago after the video that we did where we injected him, and he was absolutely fine. He was looking great. Of course, the concern is, you know, when you've had an animal that was, you know, quite ill on Tuesday and you've been medicating for several days, is, you know, are you sustaining that improvement in the condition? And the only way really to be on top of it is to keep going up. So a few nights ago, when it was all kicking off with him, we were going up here every 40 minutes, and we didn't stop until 1 o'clock in the morning, because as we learned with, you know, bitter experience a year ago with our girl Daisy that died, condition can change in a matter of, you know, 10-15 minutes, and so you need to really monitor on a regular basis to get any sense of whether that animal is improving or not, or whether they're going backwards. And so that's what we had to do. And similarly on Wednesday, we were out several times in the evening after dark checking. So today we're a little more confident at the moment anyway, that because he's improved so much and he's so close to normal behaviour and condition and everything this evening, that this check should suffice now until the morning, when we'll probably be out just before it gets light to have another look again. But yeah, this is the other side of it. So you know, when you are a little tired and it's a bit cold and a bit dark and a bit wet, you know, you don't feel like doing this, but you do it because the health of the animals is the most important thing. And coming and doing that last little check, you know, it makes a difference. So we're into the boys' paddock here now, the adult boys. Those of you that have been to the farm will know roughly where we are, despite the fact it's pitch black. And then we're going to go around to the paddock where the young boys live, where little Quiff will be. Most likely he will be in the field shelter. So we're going to have a look over there now and see if we can see him. And if we're not 100% happy, we'll go over there and we see him. Not sure if you can see this, folks. They are all four boys are in the shelter. So I think we're going to go over because we can't get a good visual on him. So some bad camera work may happen in a second because I'm going to have to go over the fence. Let's see what I'll do. I'll give you to Natalie. Okay.
Hi everyone, so just walking over the field towards the shelter. So Alfonso's wandered out to see us. Who else have we got? Lynx is just inside, then Quercy, and then the little man himself, who we've come to check. There you go, Quiffy. Okay.
So he's up and about.
Good boy.
So that's the first thing. And then Natalie's deliberately disturbing him to see what he does now. He's walking off. So a couple of nights ago he was just standing there and allowing us to touch him. The fact he's walking off into the field with a herd is positive, because that's what they should do. They don't particularly like being messed with. So there you go, look, and he's grazing. So that's a good sign. What I would like to be able to do is get my hands on him and actually look at his membranes in his eye. So what we can do with an alpaca to check their condition is pull down the eyelids and look at the colour of the inside of the eyelid, which is called the mucous membrane. If it's a decent pink colour, then that's good. If it's porcelain white colour, that's very, very bad indeed. His have been good. His were actually decent even on Tuesday when all this kicked off. So some evenings we've been looking at that as well, but his condition is, as you'd expect, he's going to the toilet. That's another good sign. What's he going for? Is it
number one?
Number one. If he does a number two, we like to look at it, because sounds weird, but that's a good indicator of health. What kind of poo does he do? So yeah, so we're fairly happy with that, I would say. Is he finishing? Yes, right. And he's walking around, humming away, which is a good sign as well. Interacting with the other boys. I'll go over to him actually, see what he does. Yes, he's walking off, look. So this is what they should do. They should think that you're herding them. So if you've been to the farm with them, if you've not had food in your hand and he's right in the firing line for lynx there, that's not very clever, is it? If you've had food in your hand, sorry, not had food in your hand, and you then walked at the alpacas, you'll notice they immediately walk away on instinct. That's what they should do. When he was ill in a week, he wasn't doing that. He was just standing. So yeah, that's about right. So I think we will conclude that he's good to go, I would say, and so we'll probably leave him overnight now. So bearing in mind on Tuesday what we were trying to do, because of how dicey things were, we were trying to compress the amount of time that he would be unsupervised for. So we left it until 1 in the morning, because that was the point at which we literally couldn't go on anymore. We had to go to bed, we were so tired. But we then were going to be back at 6 in the morning, so the amount of time he'd have to go without supervision was about 5 hours. We actually talked about potentially coming out at 3 in the morning, but we thought, based on the observations at 1 o'clock, that he'd be relatively okay to go, and he was. So given he's like this, it would be very, very bad luck indeed, he says, not wishing to tempt fate, if something now happened. So on this basis, I think we're going to say this is good enough, and we can then go back in and get some much needed rest, I have to say. So yeah, so that's it. So that just gives a little bit of an insight into what we've been doing this week. And I'm not saying it to complain. You know, farming has its ups and downs, and there's things you have to do that you don't want to do, and things that are nerve-wracking and difficult to do when you're tired or cold. Natalie's had to hold him and in fact the entire herd, because we've had to do other things which we'll tell you about in a different video, and I've had to do injections, sometimes with unsteady hands in the freezing cold, but you have to do it, you know, that's what you have to do, and that's the nature of farming. So you know, what is the reward? Well, the reward is we've got an animal that at the moment at least is looking like you know, he's good to go, as opposed to an animal on Tuesday that we actually thought at one point we were going to lose. So regardless of what happens from here, we have made an advance and we have improved his chances, and hopefully he will continue to be a delight to everybody who comes to the farm or who sees these animals out and about at the events. So I think that's enough rambling from me anyway. Gives you a sense of what we're doing, what it's like dealing with this kind of thing in the middle of the winter on a cold dark night. We're off to bed, and we will see you in a future video. All the best.